If you're someone that struggles to lose fat, then you're a muppet, is what you might be thinking to yourself. I was fat virtually my entire life. The only time I ever hit 80 kilograms was when I was going up in weight, and then I stayed around 97 for the majority of my life, reaching a maximum of 110 when I was 19. Now though, I'm about 86, with the lowest I've ever been, about 80 kilograms. And that is through eating completely normally, gaining muscle, and absolutely transforming my life. You will know as much as I do that when you're a child, you get fat, and then as an adult, it's particularly difficult to change your habits, to change your ways. You've structured them all piece by piece like a puzzle. You've created the fat cells that only need to be blown up, a little bit of food, and all of a sudden, you go from 80 to 90 kilos in the span of a month or two. If you've never been fat as a child, then this might not ring the exact same way to you. But that's fine. Watch this video because perhaps you're still dealing with the same issues that I dealt with when I was younger. Now first, fat loss, nutrition, health, dieting, fitness, all of it comes with a lot of information. The science is out there, and in many ways it backs up completely contradictory claims. I understand, I was there. When you're younger, especially before you've lost any kind of weight, you have absolutely no idea what to follow. As long as you're in the gym, whether you're doing the most bang for buck workout, it doesn't matter. But I understand, mentally, the game is rigged against us, which is when this portion of the video comes in. If you have absolutely no idea how to begin, or what calories are, what macros are, what micros are, what food you should eat, or workouts you should do, and how you can be functional or strong or anything in between, both mean the same, then I suggest clicking that first link in the description below and getting my primal blueprint. And if you aren't interested, then at the very least, subscribe with your email at the bottom of the page and you get 2 free guides. One about food substitutes and rules that are very easy and instant to make so that you can lose 24 kg. I used every single one of these rules personally in order to make my change. And number 2, 15 of the most important movements you need to know in order to be a functional human being. Like squatting, like pulling up, like dead hangs, and other things. So check those out, link in the description. Going from one diet to another and having absolutely nothing work gets you in your own head. Hearing things like, oh, you've just got to lock in, or you lazy piece of shit, why can't you just stick to something? Not only destroys the soul, but absolutely debilitates us because we are the ones telling ourselves that. Personally, like I mentioned, I was fat my entire life, but I never really experienced much bullying for being fat. The odd remark here or there, sure, but I know that I hurt myself more than anybody else did. I look in the mirror and I just hate what I saw. And then I put that as if everybody else felt the exact same way about me. And because I didn't take care of myself physically in one way, I opted out of taking care of my physically in absolutely every way. Another one that you might have heard from yourself is stop eating fatty. But you'll know as well as I do that when the hunger strikes, you can't stop it. Because it's not a rational thing that you're fighting against. It's that deep, dark voice inside of your own head that absolutely wants you to spiral out of control. And then everything after that comes rationally. But after you've had the pack of Maryland cookies or the pack of Oreo turned into cereal a day, then everything else kind of becomes a lot easier. Well, I've already been fat today. Why shouldn't I continue being fat? And I can start from tomorrow. That's a thing that I've said to myself day in, day out. As a matter of fact, that's a thing I still say to myself. In a way, fat becomes our identity. Without being fat, we're lost because really eating is the only thing that brings us any kind of joy. It's not that going to the gym is particularly hard, but we feel like if we weren't fat, well then what the hell would we do? What would happen if we tried to lose the fat and failed? Hell, we've done it plenty of times already and we've failed plenty of times. I know that every time I promise myself that I'm going to start from Monday or I'm going to start from tomorrow, I'm going to start eating healthy now, or I'm going to start watching my calories. The next day, the second I falter, even a little bit, have a little bit of sweets, have a little bit of cookies, have a cake, then I know I failed. And I know I failed once, and I know I failed plenty of times. And so at some point, you kind of just don't want to do it anymore. It's harsh, and it's an absolute mental war. It's the front lines of what you can deal with as a fat person. And so maybe it's easier to accept that as our identity than understand that truly we should change. Deep down, we know that our bodies aren't in their normal state. But we've been fat for so long, we've forgotten what it's like to be in any other way. Personally, the one thing that I was most surprised about when I actually lost my fat was the feeling that I got when I walked and went upstairs. I went up 2, 3, 4 flights of stairs and I didn't gas out. And I looked at myself, internally, obviously. I was like, what the hell? I thought to myself, this is amazing. Just walking, going up steps is different. And once you get that smell, that taste of strength and power that your body is actually capable of, well, you don't want to go back. But before you ever reach the point where you get that taste, you have to lose the fat. And so when you're fat, you don't know what it tastes like. You don't know what it's like to be normal because being fat is all you've ever had. Yes, it takes effort to lose the fat. It's hard and it's arduous. And every time you think you've made a dent, you have that cookie and you're like, damn, I failed again. How? I did so well this time. 3 days clean eating, 1 week clean eating. And again, that little voice creeps up in your head, telling you how weak you are, how lazy you are. How the hell couldn't you stick to this, you gluttonous, slothful pig? That's the difficult part of being fat. And that's a difficult part not of just being fat, but being fat and never having been thin in the first place. Never actually having experienced what it's like to have been slim in the first place. It's a mysterious, unwarranted place. And if one thing is true about humans, is that we hate the unknown more than anything else. As a matter of fact, we would be more willing to suffer in silence in the thing that we know, including our jobs, including our families, than go off on our own and into the mystery of life to discover what else it could hold for us. I actually watched this video recently. I don't know if it was Jubilee. I don't really watch Jubilee videos, but I kind of enjoy their debating things. And it was fit guys versus fat guys. One of the fat guys said something concerning, and it's one of the reasons why I'm making this video. He said, when I'm fat and I'm getting booked based off of how I look, so what happens if I lose the weight? My identity will be gone. And what if they stop booking me? What if I stop booking jobs? And to be honest with you, he's right to have that fear because he's never known what the other side is like. It's one thing if you've been jacked all your life or if you've been cut all your life and you know how you feel then, you know the kind of attraction you get from the opposite gender or even from the same gender. You walk around and in a sense, you command respect. But as somebody that's fat, you don't really have that luxury. You've never felt it. And so, like I say, it makes sense why we're so scared of losing fat. Because that's what it is at the end of the day. All of this negative self-talk, all of it, every last bit is a coping mechanism. It's a coping mechanism telling you, let me not lose the weight because I don't know what's on the other side of that. It's too terrifying. It's too scary. What if I fail? I'll think of myself worse than I already do. But right now, I think of myself worse at a balanced, moderate state. So let me just stay here. But here's the thing. Sure, 95% of people that ever try anything might fail. But 100% of people fail when they don't try. That's the harsh reality. But it also means that there's always a chance that when you do try, you can come out on the other side as an absolutely changed person for the better. But that also comes with a few things that maybe you don't understand about fat loss. Maybe you don't know what eating regime to follow. Or maybe you don't understand how to work out. Maybe you have different thoughts about the gym and the way people will see you if you go to the gym. Or maybe you're afraid that your family will judge you for even trying. Ultimately, that's what this video is about. It's to connect with you on a personal level because I was there. But also, it's to help you see things from the other perspective, from the other side, from somebody that's already lost the fat. Because I haven't actually seen a video like this. Everybody talks about how to lose the fat, but nobody talks about the mental struggles and how to overcome those things. Once you overcome the mental struggles, well, everything else is really simple. You're probably not an absolute cretin or idiot, and so you can probably read 1 or 2 studies online, and if not studies, watch a video or two that tells you you need to be in a caloric deficit. You need to eat your protein and you need to work out. Eat less, move more. It's really just that simple. Now you can go into the nuances of it and looking better and body composition, macros, micros, and all of this stuff. But really, if you don't know what to do, if you just don't have the information, and if there's no mental block, then it's really this simple. Expend more calories in a day than you consume. Eat 1.6 times your desired body weight in protein, and strength train at least 3 to 4 times a week. Oh, and when you do eat whole foods, single ingredient foods, things that you don't have to read an ingredient list for, apples, pears, cabbage, meat, eggs. It's just one thing. That's basically all you really need to do. But the things that you need to do, there are also the things that you need to understand when losing fat in order to be able to mentally overcome the challenges that you might be facing. First things first, that negative voice in your head, that's not you. That's the coping mechanism within you trying to protect you from the failed state after you try to lose fat. But the second you realize that that's not you, you can combat it. Whenever you feel like something in your head is telling you that you're a failure, confront it. Use an active voice, speak to yourself, and tell yourself that that simply isn't true. That even if today you had a little setback, tomorrow you will continue. But number 2, you might want to understand that fat loss isn't instant. Now trust me, being fat, I understand you kind of want it off today, or you're hoping that in a month, or in 2 months, or in 3 months, it's all going to go away. I know that even still now, I judge my fat loss within a 2 month basis. I tell myself, how much can I lose in 2 months? And technically, well, I can lose about 8 kg in 2 months. That's unhealthy. And I focus myself on 6 kg. But when I don't lose 6 kg in 2 months, but I lose 4 kg, I feel debilitated, a little bit like I've lost. The truth is, that's complete BS. I still managed to lose 4 kg. A little progress is better than no progress, and 4 kg instead of the 6 kg that I was expecting isn't a little progress, it's actually quite substantial. So understand this, fat loss is not instant. It will happen, however, it will happen slowly. And it's better if it happens slowly. You get more time to build muscle and build an endpoint physique that looks better. You get more time to learn and actually get addicted to the beautiful feeling of working out, eating healthy, and everything that kind of lifestyle entails. You're going to have less loose skin if you lose fat slower than if you lose it faster. You give more time for your skin to actually stick to your body. But also, you kind of have to understand that we've already created our fat cells. And like it or not, that's the truth. So it's going to be easier for us to regain the fat than it is going to be for slim dudes to even gain any weight in the first place. We're going to be regaining fat at 2 or 3 times the speed than they ever would. It's harsh. And while the calorie in, calorie out still tracks within kgs, the actual physicality of it all is going to be there. So we kind of have to get even leaner if we want that perfect body look. Some people look quite lean at 15% body fat. From personal experience, we kind of have to get to 12, 11%. We're still going to look hella lean compared to those guys at 15%, but that's about when the side blabs start to go away. And losing the fat and staying there, it's a lifelong struggle. Frankly, health isn't a one and done thing, it's lifelong. So you need to eat healthy all your life, you need to work out all your life. And so you need to understand and figure out exactly how to make it as enjoyable as possible so that instead of it being an inconvenience to your life, it becomes a privilege. A privilege to wake up and eat healthy, real food. A privilege to wake up and go and move around in the beautiful fresh air of where you might be living. And if you're not living in a place that has fresh air, like I am in London, then find the outskirts of it, or just enjoy the fact that you have some kind of outside in the first place. Because in any dystopian future, guess what? Those people, the last thing that they're eating are whole foods, or fruits, or nuts, or meat, or anything like that. They're eating pills and bars, which some of us already make a staple in our diet. It's kind of insane. Number 2, I'd also suggest for you to step off the scale. Here's the thing with the scale. It works in areas. So when you weigh yourself, if you think that you're 84.3 or 95.6 or 110 kilos, well, guess what? In that day, there are a million different things that could have changed that number, including your water content, what you ate yesterday, what's still in your gut, and of course your fat, whether you worked out, how much water you expended, and a million different things that can change the weight on that scale. So actually being affected by the fluctuations on the scale over a day-to-day period makes no sense. My advice is to consider it like this. First, realize what state you're in. Have you just eaten? Have you just woken up? If you eat late in the evening, which means that when you wake up, you're going to weigh more than somebody who wakes up after having finished their last meal at 5 p.m. All of this will factor into how much that weight is. And then also consider that weight to fluctuate within about 2 kilograms, or about 4 to 5 pounds. AKA, at the start of the day, you can be 2 kilos lighter than you would be at the end of the day because of all of the food, water, and everything else that you've consumed. If you are going to weigh yourself, I'd suggest weighing yourself every day at roughly the same state, same time, everything like that, and then averaging it out for the end of the week, seeing your weight as a week-by-week process as opposed to a daily process. Number 3 is that you really shouldn't have a goal with this. Understand, like I said, that fat loss is a lifelong thing. Staying lean is a lifelong thing. Being healthy is a lifelong thing. And so instead of considering it a diet, you should be considering it a lifestyle change. And the absolute best way to do that is instead of trying to lose fat, just try to make better habits. For example, instead of eating high-fat cheese, eat 50% fat cheese. Instead of drinking whole milk, drink semi-skimmed or skimmed milk. Instead of going to the shops to buy crisps or sweets, bake at home, use sugar. That takes effort, and so chances are you're going to want to do it a lot less. And so you're going to be eating a lot less of that stuff in the first place. Make it a point to walk 10,000 steps every single day. Go to the gym 3 times a week. Forget about losing fat or losing weight, especially at the start when you have absolutely no momentum. Just look at the habits that you've already made. For example, as humans, we tend to eat about 5 to 10 meals on repeat. We don't really have much variation from that unless we go to a restaurant or something. Now, those 5 to 10 meals, chances are, if you're fat, aren't going to be particularly healthy. High in oils, high in unsaturated fats, high in polysaturated fats, high in monosaturated fats, and ultimately for fat loss, high in calories. So make tactical decisions to change that. One of the best changes that I made for myself wasn't changing the fact that I snack. I snack all the time. I still snack now. And I pretty much snack whenever I want to. However, the change that I made was in the main meals that I'd have in the day. I went from eating things like pizza to making homemade tortilla wraps that was literally just tortilla, chicken, some kind of spread, and then vegetables. Two of those, and that nearly made up my entire food for the day because that's all I wanted to eat. And frankly, it was also delicious. The lifestyle changes and the habit changes are going to be the biggest determinant factor of whether you're going to lose the weight or not. Because at some point, you're going to start wanting to lose the weight. At some point in your mind, even if right now you say, fuck that, I'm not going to lose fat, I'm just going to change my habits, at some point, you're going to start seeing progress. And when you start seeing the progress, it's going to start speeding up. You're going to have more knowledge, you're going to have mental clarity, and you're going to be stronger than you ever were, physically and internally. And so at that point, you can start looking into body composition, macros, micros, and everything like that. For now, you know what you need to do, so just go off and do it. Stay undeniable.